Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to today's episode of Talking Point. I'm your host, Neaz Ahmed. In our studios today, we have a very distinguished gentleman who has traveled all the way from Dublin to be on our show. He is none other than Professor Khurshid Ahmed. He teaches computer science at Trinity College, University of Dublin. Welcome to the show, Professor Khurshid, and I'm so happy and glad to welcome you and the extra trouble that you have taken to travel, fly all the way only for this program. Thank you for the effort and the time that you have given us.
Assalamu alaikum, Neaz Ahmed.
Wa alaikum salam.
I'm very happy to be on your show.
Thank you. I see that you teach computer science, but you have had some other backgrounds too. Would you like to talk about your background first and before we go to the computer science and the implications of computer, impact of computer on our life today?
Okay. I did my doctorate degree in England at the University of Surrey in Guildford, and my field of research was nuclear physics. I'm a theoretician, by the way, so my task was to understand the structure of nuclei by scattering very powerful beams on it. Though I never been in a lab, so I used to do my work on a computer. So and this was in the 1970s, and I was amongst the first users of what we now call internet. It was called the ARPANET then. So to communicate between Guildford and Oxford. So that was my background. I'm a theoretician, and I then went into computer science.
And in computer science, you have often talked about artificial intelligence. What is artificial intelligence, and is there an artificial brain?
Well, artificial intelligence really relates to the fact that computers can mimic some of the intelligent behavior we have. Intelligent behavior like in planning things, playing complex board games, in diagnostics, and in fighting wars, and things of the sort. So it is really trying to understand psychological construct of brain using a computer system.
Right. Computer is a machine that stores, manipulates, analyzes information, obviously according to a programmed system. But this computer is like a tiger, if not a monster. Is it ever going to get out of our hands?
Well, that question one always asks when the technology is new, whether it will get out of hand. I think you can abuse anything if you wanted to. There is
not just technology.
Not just technology. You can abuse any good thing and do the worst things possible with it. However, that said, I think it will, in my personal view, it would not get out of hand like it will start running our lives. Because remember, at the end of the day, it is the human beings who design the hardware, the human beings who write the software, and human beings which set up the communications apparatus. So there would be a time, but I won't be alive then.
It won't become a Frankenstein's monster.
No, I doubt very much it could become Frankenstein's monster. I mean, we have created as human beings some very complex things which if they get out of hand could be quite dangerous. Nuclear reactors is one of them. Powerful chemicals is another one. We use extensive amounts of insecticides and pesticides, and they can get out of hand. So there is always a risk, but I think the downside is higher.
See, I had robots in my mind, but anyway, we'll come to robotics later. See, when TV was invented, everybody thought that is going to be a catalyst to bring in the entire family to one room, and they'll sit together and watch. Obviously, that was the initial stage. There were fewer programs, fewer televisions, and the machine itself was so expensive that every family could not afford a number of sets. But with development of science and technology and television companies, production companies, programs and all that, so now we have every household has about 2 to 3 television, and watching Johnny is watching cartoons in one room, Mama is watching soap, and Daddy is watching Match of the Day, and the daughter is watching MTV in a different room, see. So it has not brought the family, it did initially, but they split, see. So again, I see computer and the technology itself, it is creating kind of a split in the family. Like, we were talking about that different people sitting in a restaurant and using their iPads, iPods, talking to somebody far away, or completely ignoring and completely not caring for the feelings of the person sitting next to them, see. That is kind of the impact of technology on our lives.
Yes, I mean, you can argue that computers will create or have created social isolation. So literally you can spend all your time in a single room or a house.
Yeah.
You can order your food through the internet connection.
Yeah.
You can even consult your doctor on Skype. That time will come. You can transfer money across the world. And without leaving your house, you can be in communication with everything. However, we are a social animal also.
Yes.
So there is a tendency to interact. So now we have a broadcast in our own house. We talk to people on Skype and we see each other. So you talk to relations and friends in Bangladesh. There's no need for them to come on a screen, but this is our social thing. So that social pressure also has created new technologies. I am by nature an optimistic person. So to me, glass is always half full.
No, I'm not looking at the empty part of the glass, you see, but I'm talking about what impacts it can have, see.
It has, of course, it has a very serious impact in for some people. As I said, if you are socially isolated, then you forget interaction with people, and you can become a monster. You know, you can do things in a machine which could be very destructive, and as you know, people do. But it also gives you a sense of connection. With electronic mail and text messaging systems, we write more than our predecessors ever did, and their predecessors, and our predecessor wrote more than their predecessors, and we can almost go to the time when we were chiseling stones to write things,
right,
or shouting at each other. So each
sending smoke signals.
Smoke signals, yes, that very efficient form of communication. So each generation has a different kind of communication system, and we will get used to it eventually. And of course, the bad things will be eliminated, because the social good is generally greater than the potential for harm as such.
But don't you think, as a professor, I mean, don't you think that this, in the desire to communicate quickly, a lot of messages that I see on Facebook or even the emails, see, people use very abbreviated language, see. Grammar is out of the window. So writing is, yes, very good. Writing, they are writing, see, but writing what?
Yeah, true. As I said, we all want to now communicate in haste and repent at leisure, right? Sometimes, you know a lot of horrible stories when somebody pressed a send button and it went to everybody.
Yes.
It shouldn't have gone to one person. It should have gone. Yes, I take your point. The art of communication, as my father had and your father had, they could write with a pen on a single sheet of paper, and the margin will automatically appear. And there would be punctuation, and the sentences would be short and understandable. True. All that we have paid a certain price for it. However, you now have systems which can check your spelling.
Yes.
So we don't make as many spelling mistakes as our predecessors did if we wanted to.
Yeah.
And there are systems which can check your grammar as well. So, but I'm glad that people are using writing as a means of communication. That art form, that form of communication was dwindling sometimes later. As we were talking, my mother's relations used to live in India. One letter a month was her ration. When she became 72, she found mobile phones, and she was communicating with everybody almost on a daily basis on a radius of 15 to 20,000 miles. So you can see there are changes. So I agree with you. As you yourself being a professor of English, I'm sure your heart bleeds when you see email speak or text messaging speak. I also think it was because you had to pay a lot for your text messages, so you had to abbreviate. Now you are complaining about, you know, abbreviations and lack of grammar, but I'm sure you remember, I do remember reading a telegram.
Yeah.
Which had to be put a word stop as S-T-O-P,
yeah.
and you had no sense of comma.
Yeah.
So either you had a stop or nothing in between.
Yep. See, I remember that because telegrams were so expensive, and sending messages, you had to send only like death warrants to send. See.
Yes.
And if the telegram man arrived on your doorstep, people started crying before opening the telegram.
That's right. That's right. Yes. I think abbreviations were dictated initially by the tariffs. Now the tariffs are relaxed. And if you go on a train, you see people reading classics like they never did on Kindle.
Yes.
So, and you can have beautiful English if you wanted to, but you can learn beautiful English and write telegraphies, but that's your business.
True, true.
So,
once you become used to writing telegraphic language, you see, using LOL and all that, you see, even thanks has become THNX. And if you ask them, why do you have to? I mean, you can THANK, see, but they would not.
Yeah, I think it's true what you say, and I agree with you. I do not like abbreviations myself. But remember, if you type more, you may develop repeated strain injury. So there is some health issues. But I think something which came because of a commercial tariff, which is now gone, so it's replaced something else.
Okay, Professor Khurshid, it's one of those things. We have to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll continue with this interesting discussion.
Thank you.
Don't go away. We have to go for a commercial break. See you soon.